Now, I often tell you guys that an Aquarius will set it off. Okay? We will set it off. I don't care if it's positive or negative, an Aquarius will set it off. You start it, they're going to finish it. Okay? Now, my little brother always says that he's a Leo, and he always says that as soon as I walk in, that's when the party starts. So Aquarius are known for being the one who ignites things, for being the one who sets it off. So some of the times, because of this, we go down in history. A lot of Aquarius that you know about or that I've talked about has been because they set it off and it went down in history. Today's infamous Aquarius is no exception, okay? Now, I want to warn you guys before I do the introduction. Today's infamous Aquarius is extremely graphic. It's graphic. There is a lot of stuff in here that might make you be like, oh, wow. Because I know I was like, wow. There is abuse. There is a beheading, a legal beheading at the end. There's murder. There's potentially incest. There's a couple things going on with this case that's really jacked up. And this situation is important because it was one of the biggest things that happened in Sweden. Now, when you think about Sweden, you probably don't think about murder. But this situation that happened in Sweden caused them to behead a woman, which we're going to find out in a second. And it was the last woman to be beheaded in Sweden and the first in like 30 years. Her crime was so heinous that they were like, you gotta go. The state was like, we're not leaving you around. And she was only 48 years old. So let me do the introduction, and then I'm going to tell you about this week's infamous Aquarius. Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Set Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, pass it on to somebody else who might like it too, and don't forget to drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And please stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to read 2 of my favorite positive comments from previous videos and talk a little bit about it. Give a little bit of a response to it, okay? Likewise, if you want to get a reading done, please email me or hit me up on social media. My email, my social media is underneath this video. Likewise, if you want to become one of my patrons on Patreon, my Patreon information is underneath this video. If you would like to send me a present, my Amazon wish list is underneath this video, and my PayPal in case you want to give a love donation. Everything else you want to know is probably underneath this video. So check it out, and there you are. All right, guys. So let's get started with today's topic. So, oh my God, our infamous Aquarius. All right, so our infamous Aquarius, his name is Per Nielsen. Okay, Per Nielsen. I'm going to call him Per moving forward. Now, Per and his mother are said to have committed this murder, but let me explain before I get into the murder. Per was born on February the 16th of 1862. He died in 1918. I swear to you, when I heard this story, I wanted to do a seance. I wanted to do a seance with my witchy friends and call upon Per and cuss him out. Because when y'all hear this situation, this was not called for at all. Now, some people say I'm too hard on Per, but you let me know after I tell you the story. So, Per Nielsen, he is the son of Anna. And we're going to hear more about his mother. His mother was a Capricorn, and they said that her name is Anna Nielsen, okay? And Anna was a Capricorn, and I was raised by a Capricorn. So Capricorns can be a little bit controlling. Well, in this particular case, it was more than just a little bit. His mother was extremely controlling, and she controlled every aspect of her life. They said that Per was the only child of Anna's to survive. So she had 3 children, and he was the only one who made it. Now, as a mother, a lot of you who are parents out there will know something like that is devastating. If you lose a child, you're definitely going to hold on to the children that you have left a little bit tighter. That's what happened with Anna, but the problem is that Anna is reported to have crossed a boundary where her son went from being her son to being her replacement husband. And this is where all of this goes downhill. So he was born, Per was born into this poor farming family. His mother, Anna, and his father were farmers. The mother thought that by marrying the father, she would increase her wealth, but that's not what happened. Basically, what ended up happening was they just ended up being poor together, having some children, 2 of them dying, and raising 1 to adulthood. So the father was 13 years older than Per's mother. So he died, and they said he died in 1883. When he died, Per was only 21 years old. So naturally, when your father passes over as the only heir, you help your mom or take over the business. This is what Per did. Per took over the farm and the duties on the farm, but some kind of way, rumors started to speculate that that's not the only thing he took over. Okay. And that really tripped me out, because I was saying to myself, like, if she started this before he was 21, like let's say she had been grooming him all this time or being inappropriate with him all this time, that's one thing. And they don't know. Nobody knows when and if this actually occurred, but it was a big rumor in the town. And based on this case, it makes me really think that his mother did do something to him. Because if it started before he was 21, that's one thing. If it started after he was 21, at that point he's already been controlled by her, and the people in the town, the magistrate, all of those people are going to be lenient on him later because of how controlling they witnessed his mother being. So she either groomed him to be, her next dude, her son dude, or after the father passed over, that's just what she decided to do. And everybody that listened to the story really believes it was her, the Capricorn, who was forcing the Aquarius in this direction. So can you imagine your mom hunching at you? Ew. I can't imagine anything that would gross me out even more. That is just disgusting. So anyway, these rumors started to surface. This is Sweden. It's a small village, a very beautiful place too from the pictures. But it's a small place. The neighbors know you. Everybody in town knows you. People in the other town know of you. I mean, it's like a very small energy. And any of you who's ever been to a small town, word travels fast. So these rumors started surfacing that these two are now gone from mom son to mom boyfriend. I don't know if somebody saw something or what the case was, but these rumors started to persist, and it was getting around that the Aquarius and his mother were in an incestuous relationship. So the mother, Capricorn, always calculating as Capricorn, that Saturn energy. Aquarius got that calculating energy too. But the mothers decided, you know something? Everybody's talking smack. So if my son gets married, people will stop saying that he's my dude. Okay? So she arranges for her son to marry a girl named Hannah. Hannah's from a town over. She comes from an upstanding family. Her father's a judge or something like that. She comes from a good family. She's an attractive girl. They said she was intelligent. So she was really a good catch for Per. So the mother, again, controlling, arranges the marriage. Per went along with it though, because they did indeed get married. So you would think that this would stop the rumors, but it didn't. The rumors persisted because now you have the wife has moved into the farmhouse. Anna was supposed to move out. She was supposed to go live with her mother. She was supposed to let the newlyweds, the newlyweds do them, and she was supposed to leave. But she never left. She decided, I ain't going. So she didn't. And it was really nothing that they could do. The wife said that Per didn't do anything. He didn't even talk to her about it. And the wife was becoming increasingly agitated because not only was Anna living there, but she was giving her a hard time. She was treating her like a rival. This is Hannah's words about Anna. So I'm like, yeah, they probably something was going on. If they had rumors going on for years about their relationship, then he gets married and the mother is acting jealous. Now, some mothers are jealous when even if there's no, hanky-panky going on. Some mothers do get jealous when their son finds a new woman, you're your son's first love, and then when he grows up and starts to really have romantic feelings for a woman, real feelings for a woman, some women do feel a little bit jealous, and the psychologists say that's actually pretty normal. But Anna took it to a whole different level. She wouldn't move out. She was giving the girl a hard time. People in the village even knew that she was jealous of the girl. This is not a good look. Then the girl started to complain about how difficult their relationship was, and she started to call, her father was a judge, so she started to write him letters, and letter after letter, about her meddling mother-in-law and how she was interrupting their affairs and all of the things that she was doing, and that Per seemed to be under her control, she said. So she kept on writing him about this situation. So the father was very sympathetic about it, but the father felt like it was just growing pains. Every marriage has growing pains, in-law, infighting, all kind of stuff happens in marriages. And if you out there that's married or in a long-term relationship, you probably have seen some of this in your own life. But this is just the stepmother. This is the what is it called? The mother-in-law from hell. It goes way beyond the issues at hand. Anyway, so Hannah is complaining about this, telling her father, telling Per, look, Aquarius, you need to get your mother in check. Per is like, can't do nothing with her, and just letting her do whatever she wants. Well, finally it came to a head. And the neighbor, according to I won't go through all of the details, but basically what happened is that on March 28th, 1889, the neighbor came next door to see Hannah. In those times, that's pretty much all you could do, right? Go to see your neighbor, have tea, or, walk down to the pub or go shopping or whatever. There wasn't a lot of things to do in a small village. So her neighbor came over to see her, and she was nowhere around. Now, again, this is unusual because normally she would be hanging around. She'd be somewhere visible. So the neighbor asked the husband, Per, the Aquarius, dog, where's your wife? And he's like, He came off like he had no idea where she was at. Now, mind you, she's already dead, and he knows that she's dead, but he comes off like he doesn't know where she's at, which, is pretty obvious. He's not going to say, oh, I think she's dead, Anyway, so it said here that the neighbor said, well, look, let's go look for her because something don't feel right. The neighbor was alarmed. So Per was like, okay. So the two of them went looking for her, went in the yard, looking around the house, the kind of places that she normally would go. Then they come inside of the house and they see that the basement door, which it looks like the basement, some of those old houses where the basement door is like on the floor of the kitchen and it opens out and then you walk down the steps. It looked like one of those from the way that the situation was set up. And they said that the neighbor started looking down the steps. He was like, why is the cellar door open? Because in general, you close it because that's a hazard. Somebody could fall down the hole. So anyway, the neighbor starts looking down the steps and he finds poor Hannah dead. She's dead. She's gone. At the bottom of the steps, and she's just dead. So the neighbor is like, oh my God, you know? The neighbor went and got some more neighbors to get her out of the basement to see if they can resuscitate her. The whole time, according to the neighbors, Anna, the mother, the Capricorn mother, and the Aquarius-Per, our infamous Aquarius, was showing no feelings at all. If your wife was just found dead in the basement and you don't show no feelings, you're already the first suspect. If your husband, your wife, your significant other, if something happens to them, you're the first suspect anyway. Then on top of it, you didn't seem upset. You didn't cry. You didn't show any agitation, anxiety, depression, nothing. So the neighbors thought all of this was really strange. And then on top of it, people think you're sleeping with your mother, and now your pretty young wife ends up dead, and neither one of you seems to care. Now, mind you, Hannah's father is a judge. So this is not going to blow over very easily. I don't know what the hell made these two think they were going to get away with this. So the police came, they investigated, the neighbors spilled the beans, the neighbors snitched, the neighbors told everything. They told him about the incestuous relationship. They told him about how the mother was treating Hannah, how she seemed jealous of her, the complaints that Hannah had about the cruelty she was receiving from her, the fact that Per was never standing up for her or doing his duty as a husband. All of this they ran down to the cops, and the cops put two and two together and was like, y'all killed her. They was like, They examined her, and two very telling things came out of the examination. She had marks around her neck. They found out through the autopsy she had been strangled. If she had fallen down the steps and broke her neck, she wouldn't have claw marks and punctures and, fingerprints around her neck. Number two, she was not fully dressed. During this time in this part of the world, they wore a formal attire, from what I understand. And one piece of her attire was missing. She was a proper lady. She would never be seen without her, self together. Even the neighbors said they had never seen her without her, fully dressed. So it became very suspicious, like, wait a minute, you were accused of being with your mother, your pretty young wife turns up dead, neither one of you seemed to give a So what is going on here? So they were both arrested, and they were questioned, and they confessed. They finally confessed. Apparently, they said their stories didn't really match. So there is some deception still going on, but they both admitted that they killed her. They said they killed her together. Some people, and this is how come you can already see with this sentence, some people believe that Anna really is the one that killed her because of the marks. That was a crime of passion. And they think that Anna, they really believe that Anna was being intimate with her son. And this is what the prosecutors and, the cops speculate. They think that the wife found out that this was really true. And in a fit of rage, she was attacked. Apparently, they believe it was at night. She might have been naked or in her nightgown. And that the mother or the son, somebody dressed her. That's why she was missing one article of clothing. So this infamous Aquarius landed himself in jail. So he ended up in jail. His mother ended up in jail. And they were both sentenced to death. Okay? But remember I told you that everybody kept on saying that he was controlled by his mother, and people just felt like he was being controlled by her. She made him do whatever she wanted him to do, and like he didn't have any say, any will, like he was putty in her hands, And after the testimonies coming from the people in the neighborhood or the people in the village, basically they decided to reduce his sentence. They decided that yes, he is, he is responsible. Both of them were responsible, but she was the mother, Anna, is more responsible and more than likely the one that put him up to it. And they didn't know which one of them actually did the murder because they both kept on changing their stories didn't match. So it was like, did you both kill her? Did one of you kill her? Did one of you kill her and the other one cover it up? It never really became clear because they kept on being untrue. But the one thing that everybody said, including the judge, was that the mother deserved a higher sentence than the son. So that's exactly what happened. He was imprisoned. He was in prison, and it says here that he was in jail for 23 years. So he did a 23-year term, and then he was released. 5 years later, because of the harsh conditions of doing 23 years in a, old-fashioned prison, he was dead 5 years later. So he did 23 years, came out for 5, and died. So his whole life was just like, it was just snatched. And basically, a lot of people ask me, do I think it was his fault? If he was so controlled by his mother, what other option did he have? And I'm like, I really honestly feel like there's always another option. I understand being abused. I understand, being in a situation, that's bad. I understand that. I totally get that. But I feel like where he made his mistake was allowing her to bring in another person. I would have been like, no, I'm not marrying her. Just knowing what was going on, if I was okay with what was going on or not, I would have not have brought another person. Once he brought Hannah into it and married her, and I know it was his mom's idea and all that kind of stuff, but that's one place where he should have told his mother no. It's one thing that y'all have this relationship. It's another thing for you to, as a grown man, allow her to bring somebody else into this dysfunction. So for me, this famous Aquarius, that was the biggest mistake that he really made. I don't think any of the other things was his fault. It wasn't his fault that his mother basically raped him. I mean, she was molesting him. I don't know how old he was, but whatever. She was taking advantage of him, and I just feel bad for him. And so, okay, he did 23 years and his mother was executed. She was the last woman in Sweden to be executed. She was beheaded. So they saw her as being so evil and so controlling and so negative that she couldn't even get life. Like, they didn't even want to chance her ever getting out. They was like, you have to go. And that's what happened to her. So they killed her and they put him in jail. So this infamous Aquarius, I really do feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for a lot of the infamous Aquarius because a lot of them have these really messed up stories, like Griselda Blanco, awful story. So many of them have stories of just, even the rapper I did last week, X, awful story. So many of them have these awful stories. And I do feel sorry for them because a lot of these things started when they were children. But once you're an adult, society expects you to find ways to make better decisions. So they're not going to say, oh, well, you had a bad childhood and you blew up a couple people. We'll forgive you. That's just not how it works. My heart goes out to them because I know the psychological conditioning that must have come. Can you imagine what kind of psychological conditioning that Per had been through his whole life? So I do feel sorry for him, but at the same time, I'm just like, Per, I would have ran away. I would have ran away. Anna would have woke up to feed them chickens and them cows one day, and my shit would have been gone. Okay? That's what I would have did. Me and my pretty young wife would have ran away, or I wouldn't have even got the wife and ran away and met a wife somewhere else, So that's what I would have done, but I'm also not in that situation, so it's easy for me to be on the outside looking out. But it's just weird to me because Aquarius usually do have that fight or flight mechanism. He clearly wasn't fighting, so I'm really surprised he didn't flee. So rest in peace to Hannah. Poor dear, did not deserve that. And I guess Per will be back to deal with his karma. Now let's take a look at two positive comments. The first one came from, this looks like Teresa Mose. I hate getting gifts that I don't like, especially since I pay attention to people and what they like. I literally just told my boyfriend, don't get me any perfume. I feel like he could and should do better. I agree with you. I am very specific about the gifts that I like. If somebody gives me something, I'm going to appreciate it just because it's from them. That's the kind of person that I am. I was taught to be grateful. I grew up with not a lot. My mother, we lived in a good neighborhood. My mother sent us to private school, but she didn't have a lot of extra money for extra stuff, like, extra game systems and expensive sneakers and jeans and stuff like that. I got some things, but especially when I was a little kid, the money just wasn't there. Back in those days, I remember eating government cheese back in those days. We didn't know we were poor. We didn't know that. We were fine. I was chubby and had toys. I was cool. But the truth of the matter is that we didn't have a lot. So, that's one of those kind of things. I'm just taught to be grateful because of that. But I do like specific things. So this is my thing to you. He can and he should do better, but you have to make sure that you are telling him exactly what you want. You said that you're good at this. Everybody's not good at gift giving. Even I'm good at gift giving, and I've given people gifts before that they didn't particularly like. I thought they would like it. It's something that I thought was cool, but they didn't. So even a person that's good at gift giving can get this wrong. So if you're somebody and you know that you're particular about what you want to get as a gift, don't make the person guess. Make an Amazon wish list. Tell them what you want. Send them a link. Send them a link and be like, yo, this is what I want. If you know that person can and should do better, but is really not their thing, or they're really not good at it, take away the guesswork. A lot of times we break our own hearts like that. The last one came from Tamara Williams. Hey, Tamara. Tamara said, I love X. She's talking about the rapper that I did last week. Rest in power. I believe that Aquarius get more influence from Uranus when we are younger. Then Saturn kicks in when we get much older. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. A lot of Aquarius I know, not all, but a lot of them, were wilder and a lot more reckless, a lot more fearless in their youth. I never looked at it as being Uranus and Saturn, but that makes perfect sense because I used to call it Shango versus my yin and yang. What that means is that every person in spiritual systems, every person in certain spiritual systems has a mothering and a fathering kind of energy. With me, it's Auset Haru. That's why my name is Queen Auset Haru. Auset is my mother, Haru is my father. But in the Yoruba tradition, Haru is Shango and Auset is yin and yang. Same kind of energy, different culture. Okay? So I used to always say, because this is before I knew the Egyptian names, I used to always say in my youth, my Shango had me, was in control. And as I got older, my yin and yang took over. So it's the same concept because Uranus would be that Shango energy, that wild, unpredictable lightning kind of energy. And the Saturn would be Auset yin and yang is a goddess energy. She's a queen, a leader. So she's calmer, more diplomatic, more spiritual. So she goes from this wild, that I went from this wild energy to this calmer, more stable energy. And it's the same idea of Saturn and Uranus. So I agree with that 100%. That's a great theory. All right, guys, it's time for us to get going. So you guys come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.